Omaha's news leader, chronicling the stories and people making a difference in our community. This is KETV News Watch 7's Chronicle.
We commissioned or solicited proposals from world-class landscape architectural companies with strong credentials building world-class parks.
World-class, game-changing, and transformational.
That's how community leaders describe the plan to redo Omaha's riverfront, turning empty, rarely used areas into a destination with parks, restaurants, and retail space. Good morning, I'm David Earl. Today on Chronicle, we're taking a closer look at that $290 million endeavor unveiled earlier this summer. If it happens, it will change downtown Omaha as we know it. This public-private partnership gets rid of the lagoon in the middle of Jean Leahy Mall and connects downtown to the riverfront in the Capital District. It'll be completed in 3 phases and covers over 90 acres. The city of Omaha will contribute $50 million to the project. All that money will come from issuing bonds. This morning, we'll be talking with one of the co-chairs of the Riverfront Revitalization Committee, 2 developers, Jay Noddle, whose company is building up the Council Bluffs side of the river, and Mike Moylan, who's created the Capital District. Plus, we'll talk with a young professional from the Greater Omaha Chamber of Commerce about what this project means for the future of the city. But we begin with the project itself. So far, the group planning this has raised $150 million. Demolition should start a year from now, and crews could finish building it all by 2022. The plan: have the Metropolitan Entertainment and Convention Authority manage it. Bottom line, it's an ambitious project that'll give the heart of the city a major makeover. An 11th Street promenade, just one of many key features in what isn't a makeover, but a massive reconstruction of the Jean Leahy Mall.
It's a pretty park, but no one uses it. We have a huge water feature that nobody uses.
The mall, from the downtown library to 11th Street, gets filled in. A large lawn, dog park, sculpture garden, and other amenities planned for what used to be water. Further east, a new connection to Heartland of America Park and a riverfront reimagined. Ken Stinson explains this isn't just park improvement, it's a recruiting tool.
We think people from outside of our community will be more inspired to move their families or perhaps their businesses, their corporations here to our community.
We showed the plans to people already in Omaha using the Jean Leahy Mall Tuesday night.
It would be a change. I mean, I don't necessarily know how to feel about it.
I mean, you're gonna ruin a lot of memories and a lot of childhood memories. You can't get memories back.
More kid-friendly things downtown besides just the little slides.
Others at a meeting about the project were mostly supportive of the plan. Still, some wondered how a project of this scale might affect other area attractions like Fontenelle Forest.
What will that do to the forest and to our going out to philanthropic groups and individuals?
Project leaders say the more to see and do in the Omaha Metro, the better. They predict people will come from far and wide to see what they build.
While the plan greatly expands the area of parkland, connects to the river, and allows for greater accessibility, it will also have a lot of wow features that will make it a must-see part of the region.
And joining me now to talk more about the project is Mo Bai, co-chair of the Riverfront Revitalization Committee and executive chairman of Valmont Industries. Good morning and welcome to you.
Good morning to you, David.
What is the feedback you've received so far since you guys made that announcement?
You know, whenever you have a project like that happening, you have people that are for it and people that are not. And I have been pleasantly surprised by the overwhelming positive response we have heard.
What makes this project unique? Why do you think so many people are excited about it?
Well, I do think that it's going to be transformational for downtown Omaha and on the Iowa side of the river also. If you think about it, what we will put together is a contiguous park of 90 acres on this side of the river and another 100 acres on the other side of the river. And I can't think of any cities that can actually accomplish that basically from public land. We don't have to go out and acquire land. The land on this side is owned by the city, and the land on the other side, either the city or the state.
Yeah. Why this project and why now? Why do you think the time is right for this effort in downtown Omaha right now?
Well, maybe by asking the questions, why not now?
Yeah.
I mean, over the years, there have been a lot of talk about how do we get our face towards the river. If you go back many decades, rivers tend to kind of be the dirty part of cities. It's where industry was, and not necessarily the cleanest industries. And we have an opportunity now to turn that around and put our face towards the river and get people close to the river, because water attracts people. And in our case, the river will attract people.
And as part of that attraction, do you anticipate this being a selling point on Omaha? I know that, this will be an investment for a lot of people. They want to see a return on that investment, right?
Yeah, I mean, there's no doubt, as you pointed out, 50 million comes from the city, and the rest, which is over 200 million, comes from philanthropy. And philanthropic dollars will invest in good projects. Mm-hmm. And obviously, they consider this a good project. It's been an incredible commitment on the part of the philanthropic community in Omaha. And they don't want to see, of course, an economic return to them. They want to see a quality of life return, and they want to see an economic return to the city over time.
So as part of that announcement, I know you guys spoke about attracting Mecca as a partner here, and they'll the plan is to have them run the park. Where do things stand right there right now with Mecca? Are you guys still negotiating on how it's going to work?
Yeah, actually, the Mecca board is very enthused about doing it. And from our committee standpoint, we are very enthused, because otherwise you'd have to create a whole new organization, and that would not be economically the right thing to do. They are already geared to do stuff like this.
Yeah, there's a lot of elements, a lot of moving parts in this project. How difficult is it to kind of manage all of those things?
It is difficult, because you have to deal with a river that is navigable. So therefore you have to deal with the Corps of Engineers. You have to deal with environmental issues. You have to deal with endangered species. You have to deal with a railroad that is active along the river. You have to deal with the 3 different parts of it: Heartland of America, the Lewis and Clark, and the Jean Leahy. You have to deal with the development on the Conagra campus. All this has to be coordinated, and that's not uncomplicated, but it'll be done.
Yeah. Do you think the project will morph in any way from what the original vision was laid out as it moves forward?
I kind of hope so.
Yeah.
Because the way I look at it is we're kind of creating on this side of the river a 90-acre canvas. And over the next decades, there will be stuff put on that campus that we can't even think about today. But to secure that area for the future of the cities of Omaha, I think is very, very important. And then on the other side of the river, you have 100+ acres.
This is a destination, right? It's going to be a destination for people. Do you want to draw people from West Omaha back downtown, or do you want to draw people from the region into downtown?
I think both. I think there are a lot of cool areas in Omaha that will draw people. Whether you have the Blackstone District or the Capital District or Exarban or Benson or whatever it is, they have created good, cool places that people want to go to. This will be one that's right smack in the city center. And that is the center of our overall metropolitan area and our overall community. So I think people will come from everywhere. They'll come from West Omaha. They'll come from a broader part of the Midwest.
Awesome. Moens, a lot of work still to be done on the project.
A lot of work.
And we wish you all the best in it. Thank you for joining us this morning.
Well, thank you for having me.
Up next, we're going to talk to 2 local developers about what the riverfront revitalization means to them and their projects. You're watching KETV Newswatch 7's Chronicle. You're watching KETV Newswatch 7's Chronicle. This morning, we've been talking about the $290 million plan to transform Omaha's riverfront. Over on the Council Bluffs side, work is already well underway. If you've been over there recently, you can't miss all the construction. KETV Newswatch 7's Camilla Ortiz shows us what they're building over in Iowa.
A project 3 years in the making, rising up to face the Omaha skyline.
I think people see it from the bridge and they don't get a good perspective of how much really is happening down here.
On the Iowa side of the river, work on the 290-unit apartment complex and townhomes at River's Edge Park is nearly complete, ready for lease this fall.
Everything came together pretty quick.
Noddle Companies created the master plan for the 21-acre site. Director of Development Ted Zetzman says the 4-story office building and adjacent parking garage will be finished by the end of this year.
The glass starts going on to that building a little bit later in mid-June, and so that really starts taking shape. I think the public will get excited about that.
Zetzman tells me about a third of the retail and office space has already been spoken for. And it's not just buildings going up.
We're walking through a little spray park here as well.
Landscaping and bike lanes tying the development together with the park, surrounding the public pavilion that Mayor Matt Walsh says has been extremely popular.
It's rented almost on a daily basis, so that's gone really well.
Developers say construction on a 2-tower condo block should start next spring. In Council Bluffs, Camilla Ortiz, KETV Newswatch 7.
And in Omaha, there's another red-hot development nearing completion. The Capital District has been up and running for less than a year, and it's the place to be for celebrations like St. Patrick's Day and the College World Series. Joining me now is Mike Moylan, who's president of Shamrock Development. He created the Capital District, and Jay Noddle, who's president and CEO of Noddle Companies and vice chairman of Mecca. Thanks, gentlemen, for being here this morning. Mike, I want to start with you. You live downtown. You're a big downtown advocate. What do you make of this effort to revitalize downtown and the riverfront?
Well, it's amazing. We spend a lot of time in all three of the parks, and because we live right near all three of the parks, and there is a connectivity issue here, and to try to get from one park to the other and how they're connected has always been kind of an issue, and they have a little bit different theme, and we just cannot be more excited as a downtown person and our family that likes to enjoy the parks. Some of the parks are old, some of them are newer, but still there was just getting a connection between the two. And this is just remarkable to see the public and private investment to make this, to take it to the level it's going to occur in such a short period of time, and the staggering amount of money that is raised by the private community is just amazing, and so it's just impressive across the board.
How does this help a place like the Capital District?
Well, obviously the best thing about it is that it connects the Capital District to all three of the parks on its surface, but then most importantly though, it's really going to continue to surge the economic development downtown to make other things happen downtown in or near these parks area, and which will obviously then help all the synergy of downtown, including the Capital District.
Jay, you've seen projects like this happen in other cities, right? How do they change the landscape for everything around them?
You know, it can be remarkable and transformational and amazing. Projects like this they're magnets. They're magnets for the community members, they're magnets for the region, and they're magnets for new development. So things can really change, usually more than we realize, and usually quicker than we might think.
Yeah, I know there was a lot of talk when Chicago did Millennium Park back more than a decade ago now. A lot of people were critical of that, about how much money was being spent there. And now when you look at all the new towers that are around Millennium Park in Chicago, I mean, it's a game changer.
Absolutely remarkable. And you know, this project is heavily weighted towards the philanthropic sector. And so that makes it even more amazing. And it's another tremendous example of what a remarkable community and a remarkable metropolitan area we live in.
This investment, of course, reaches across the river where you're doing some work. How important is it to connect Omaha to Council Bluffs here?
You know, I think it's really important. And for years, the river has acted as a barrier, and the state line has acted as a barrier. But if you think about the metropolitan area and a river corridor and activities on both sides of that river corridor that are linked with bridges and other ways to go back and forth, this will be not only a game changer, but I think it will be an example, yet another example that Omaha provides to the nation of what can be done.
Mike, if this happens the way everybody says that it will, right, what does Omaha look like, downtown Omaha look like 10 years from now?
Well, the funny thing is it's going to look like what it should look like in about 30 years from now, but it's going to look that way in about 5 years from now. So when the park gets finished, there's already a lot of economic development activity occurring. We're talking to a lot more office users, a lot more residential users. There's other parts of downtown that are being reinvigorated. mostly because of the status of this project and how committed everybody is to making it happen and on such a timely basis. It's going to be a whole new look to downtown. Right now, for instance, coming from the old market to the Capitol District is kind of hard, actually, because 13th Street and 10th Street are the only streets and the rest is kind of down underground. Now this is going to be flat level. The connectivity between all the parts of downtown is going to be amazing. But the activation of what's going to happen there, too, is really what is going to make an office lifestyle better, a residential lifestyle better, and people will be able to come down for longer periods of time because there's so much to do down there, both in the parks as well as all the things surrounding the parks.
You study downtowns across the country, right? And the trend toward urbanization and more people coming into the urban core. This helps in that effort, doesn't it?
It really, really does. The funny thing about Omaha, I felt Omaha kind of had a late start on its urbanization, so we were to learn from others, and also especially as a Midwestern economy and a Midwestern style, we were dug in such a suburban hole that to bring Omaha to the level of it is today and now where it's going to go was truly because of the great cooperation between the public and private partnerships. And like Jay mentioned, the philanthropic side of from the beginning till now, till this is finished, is really the thing that pushed Omaha over the edge to make it a great urban environment.
Jay, downtown won another corporate headquarters. Kiewit is coming downtown from Midtown, and you're spearheading that project. How does this riverfront plan factor into those decisions, and do you see this as more of a recruiting tool to bring other companies into the downtown space?
I do. I think that this will make a big difference for downtown. I think it's going to make a big difference for the entire metropolitan area, and to me, that's the key. We're creating a bigger, better community that can be more inspiring to more people. Our hub, our central business district, our downtown, needs to flourish more, and this will help a great deal. We've already got such an amazing array of public facilities downtown. This just adds to that, and I think it will result in more and more activity downtown.
And Mecca's going to presumably take a big role in managing this project. Can you share with us any insight from the board members on how they feel?
Well, everybody's really excited. And you know, Mecca was created to do things just like this. And fortunately for the community and for Mecca, there's a track record of managing the design and delivery and the activation of public facilities. So this is really right in Mecca's sweet spot, and we're all excited and looking forward to it, and it's going to be great. We can't wait for a groundbreaking and a ribbon cutting.
Mike, what happens if this, obviously everybody says this is going to happen, the investment's already there, the shovels are getting ready to go in the ground. If Omaha doesn't take this step, right, if this doesn't happen, what does that do to the momentum of downtown?
Well, I haven't thought about it that way because of the leadership that's doing it. And but for some reason, if Omaha stubbed its toe, it would be a major setback. And there's momentum happening downtown that's been going on for quite a while. And as Jay mentioned, you know, having Kiewit come down and other corporate headquarters looking downtown, the lifestyle is now such a clear vision of what people can do and experience downtown. I think it would be a big setback for downtown Omaha, far and away one of the biggest disappointments downtown, because this vision is so clear and so attainable that I'll be shocked if it doesn't happen. But it's really going to be amazing to see it all, what it's going to do to bring everything together, and we just couldn't be more excited.
All right, a lot of indicators show that this is going to happen. It's going to be great to see. Thank you both for being here with us this morning.
Thank you, David.
We're going to take a short break, but when we come back, we'll look at what the redevelopment means for Omaha's next generation. First, a reminder that your comments are an important part of the show. If you want to be heard, email your comments to news@ketv.com. Remember, we love hearing from you. We'll be right back. This is KETV News Watch 7's Chronicle. This morning, we're taking an in-depth look at the city's plan to renovate the riverfront. It's a multi-million-dollar undertaking that'll transform downtown, making it more modern, sophisticated, and vibrant. Something some would say Omaha desperately needs. The Omaha Metro currently has just under 1 million residents, and between 2010 and 2016, the city grew by 7%. The median age of residents is 35 years old, and on average, we earn more and pay less than most of the country, making Omaha one of the best places in the country to call home. But we still experience brain drain with young people moving away after college or going to places like Denver and Chicago. So, would this project convince young professionals to stay? Joining me now to answer that question and more is James Caraway, Manager of Business Development for the Greater Omaha Chamber. James, good morning to you. Thanks for being on the program this morning.
Thank you for having me.
What do you think of the plans that you've seen?
So I've seen them. They are wonderful plans. I mean, when you see the scope of what these people have put together, the vision of what they're casting on the region, I mean, for a young professional, I get excited.
We've heard the Chamber talk a lot about place, right? In the Prosper 2.0 campaign, it's about making Omaha a place people want to move to call home. How does this project help with that?
I mean, well, you hit it right on the head, right? Place, lifestyle, those are the things that the young professionals look at. When they want to decide where to go, they look at the amenities, they look at the schools, they look at the connectivity, they look at the coffee shops, they look at where they want to live, they look at the downtown area. And so this development hits all of those things on the head. And so what it's going to do is it's going to allow the region to really show itself. It's going to unleash the potential of the riverfront on a lot of the young professionals in the area and outside of the area.
How do you think this positions Omaha against those competitors, right? Against a place like Denver or Chicago?
Right. Well, I mean, I don't know if they'll be able to match kind of, once this development is complete, I don't know how they'll be able to match it as far as total quality of life, what we bring to the table. There are some things that they're definitely good at, but this will really put us above everyone else.
What do you hear from young professionals right now about the city? Are they content? Are they restless? Do they want Omaha to take that next big step?
Yeah, they want Omaha to take the next step. Lots of the young professionals that I talk to, some of them live out west, some of them live downtown. They're saying like, well, you know, what about this? Can we get more of these things? Can we get more of these things? And when you talk to them about this development, all I hear is excitement.
That's a good thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. There have been recent studies that say, you know, the city isn't great for young minorities, that there's an issue there. How do you think this project factors in there? Does that help things?
I think it does. We talk about people, place, and prosperity, right? And I think that what this will do will connect people, will help create jobs with the development, and will really help us push prosperity on the region. It'll connect both sides. It'll connect the minorities. Every walk of life will be at this area with, you know, enjoying the facilities.
Yeah, and there's just so much more expansion of what's offered than what there is downtown right now, right?
Yeah.
I mean, what do you think of? You think of the slides,
yeah,
you think
totally.
of Jean Leahy Mall, but that's just about it.
Yeah.
This kind of takes it to the next level.
It takes it to the next level. Like they talked about, it connects 90 acres on this side, 100 acres on the other side, and it really opens it up for people like me. I have a family, you know, young family, and it opens it up for the young professionals that, you know, are in their late 20s, early 30s with no kids and dogs, and so we all can kind of congregate at this place and enjoy it.
Yeah. What do you tell young professionals about the city and its future?
Opportunity. Prosperity. I came here. I've been all around the Midwest. I love this place. There's lots of opportunity, and it's there for the season.
Yeah. What do you make of Omaha compared to the other places you've lived?
Well, it's by far the best place that I've been. We talk about being here much longer than we expected, honestly, and you know, it's definitely a great place that I see myself raising my family for quite some time.
All right. James, thanks for being here with us this morning.
Yeah, thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Remember, if you missed any part of this show or you want to watch it again, it's online right now on KETV.com. Just go to our homepage and click the menu button. Then look for Chronicle. I'm David Earl. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you back here next Sunday morning for KETV News Watch 7's Chronicle.